happened with this Maxx Crosby deal, but there's still many more free agents out there waiting to be signed. So joining us, former NFL fullback, and listen, I love the value that we're seeing with fullbacks these days because they really are important, especially for teams that really want to run the football hard and get more blockage up front. Joining us, Chris Hetherington on the program. I want to start there, Chris, and I love your repping the fathead hat, man, because honestly, I remember growing up as a kid and loved your guys' designs, man. Still never fails to this day. All of the great pictures from the great photographers, and then to put it on as a sticker up and onto the wall, like, who couldn't get more excited about that to have their favorite star in their bedroom?
Yeah, man, good to be here. Great to have a conversation with you. Yeah, we're excited about Fathead. We acquired the brand a couple years ago, and it's an iconic brand, right? And we have licenses with some of the most iconic IP in the world: NFL, NBA, NHL, MLB, college, CLC. So we're excited. We're taking the brand to new levels, incorporating technology, and super exciting.
Love it, man. And when I get my man cave at some point down the stretch here in Colorado, I definitely got to hit up
a guy.
Design. Yes.
I got a guy for
you. Well, I'll tell you. So, okay. I was saying this earlier on in the program. My wife and I, we watch Shark Tank all the time. And just so happens all these entrepreneurs are all from Colorado, all parts of around the state. And every time when I look at their valuations, I get curious because of how much have you grown in sales? Are you trending upwards, kind of like how the stock market hits up on all of your sales? And are you getting a lot of the profits where majority of that money goes back to the company, and then you make the profits to where you pay out your employees and you pay yourself very warmly, and the rest of it is great because the product is great. Yeah. So when I looked at this with what just happened with the Raiders and the Ravens, clearly Maxx Crosby failed a physical and all the rest of this stuff, more details later. But on the Ravens side, they didn't quite have a pass rusher since the days of Ray Lewis and Terrell Suggs. It kind of looks a little manipulating because of the designs of their defense. It looked like they had a guy, Odafe Oweh, Roquan Smith. Now they had one, and then all of a sudden everything blew up, and then they made it up later by getting Trey Hendrickson. What was your thought process when all this blew up? Because it had everybody all jaw dropped, and then they're like, oh, wait a second. They got their picks back, and this never even fell through.
Yeah, first of all, I was bummed out. I'm a Raider guy, right? I played Raiders 2 years of my career, so I was devastated that losing Maxx Crosby. And then when I heard the news that the trade fell through and he didn't pass his physical, it was confusing, right? I mean, they've known about this injury. I think it's pretty clear, I hope, for Max's sake, and that he comes back healthy. But it seems a little bit, we'll call it weird to be politically correct. They ended up getting Trey, and they ended up saving 2 first-round draft picks. So, the Ravens made out well. I'm very interested to see how this plays out, Jake, with the Raiders, right? It's kind of an awkward situation now where, they try to trade him somewhere else or does he stay? I mean, their roster is certainly different. They've made, I think, in my opinion, made some pretty good moves here over the last several weeks in free agency. And so I'm hoping he stays, and I'm hoping he, kind of embraces everything happens for a reason, and he's gonna roll with the squad he's been with.
With the Ravens, because the whole idea surrounding this was they wanted to extend Lamar Jackson as they should, because he's winning 75 to 80% of your games. You let that walk out the building, who are you going to have now at quarterback? I would make the argument, even when they had their competent quarterbacks with Joe Flacco and the late Steve McNair, it's not that simple to find your franchise quarterback. So they now restructured and they saved up $40 million. So, but now on the Raiders side, think about this. They were at $121 million, Chris. Yeah. And then now all of a sudden with that falling through, now that cap hit with Maxx Crosby's contract, how are they going to work this out? And at the same time, the guys they signed, I love this. When was the last time you ever heard the Raiders really making honest and sincere noise in free agency. This has been a long time coming since they've been doing this, where I felt good about what their signings have been.
Yeah, man. You got Brady and you got, some smart minds in the building. And look, the Raiders, being part of the alumni, world, there's a lot of pressure to win, man. And I think they're feeling that. And it's been certainly been disappointing over the last several years. Last year obviously was a really rough year. I was excited about Pete coming in and really, doing what he does best. And that's really changed the culture. I think the culture really needed to change in the building and at the Raiders, and it didn't work out. And so I like the new hire. I think the new coach is going to do great things. I think he's going to really, be a culture setter as well. But you need to have a balanced team, as you know, right? And they need some help on the offensive line. They certainly need a quarterback. Gino's no longer there, and so they've been making good moves. Tom Brady's no dummy, and and some of the other minds in the front office are sharp, and so they got a lot of pressure to win soon, and hopefully they got a great quarterback in there. Hopefully they figure out this Max situation. But yeah, the salary cap situation's tough, right? And you have certain pieces of the puzzle that are mandatory, and then you kind of fill in the rest of those pieces with hopefully great guys that kind of prove themselves.
So I ask you because with the way this organization has really played around, to me, I've been a born and bred Vegas, Nevadan for a long time before moving to Colorado. And my biggest thing is like Los Angeles and New York. If you ain't winning, we ain't talking about you, or we're talking about you in a negative way, because you're in a city where you got the Golden Knights going to 2 Stanley Cups, winning one of them, and a WNBA team that's won 3 WNBA championships. And here are the Raiders, and now the A's are going to be touching down here in the Strip. When you think about who is going to lead the tunnel here, Chris, and in a sincere and honest answer, would Fernando Mendoza be the answer to the silver and black, or is there kind of a different name we haven't thought of that maybe can resurrect and really build with what the silver and black has always been built upon?
Man, it's tough. I think in general, it's really tough for rookies to come in and be expected to be a leader and perform well. I mean, I played with Peyton Manning his rookie year in Indianapolis. I think he threw 21 interceptions, right? We didn't get him a lot of help around him, but the Raiders organization is a very special place, and there's a lot of cultural things that are expected out of their leaders, especially the quarterback. And look, I got a lot of respect for this kid Mendoza. He had an awesome career. He's a tough kid. He's obviously, his football IQ is really high. I just don't know. I've heard conflicting stories or opinions on, whether he has the tools to come in here and be a leader day one. It's weird, man. Like these quarterbacks now in college, I feel like they're not developing these kids to be great pros. They're developing to win within their system. And that, a lot of these kids are going in shotgun, they're clapping and it's just a different timing to come into the NFL, get under center and go through your progression. The game is so much faster, so much more sophisticated. They're designing coverages, they're designing fronts, and the speed of the game is just so much faster, man. So I hope he's the guy. Everything I'm reading is all signs are pointing to him being the guy. But I love the philosophy. We drafted Alex Smith his rookie year in San Fran, and he struggled as well. It's really tough. So I prefer guys to come in and learn for the first year or two, right? Learn from a veteran quarterback, get the mental reps, and then when they're ready physically and mentally, come in and be expected to dominate and do well. Jordan Love's another example. Aaron Rodgers, all these guys. And so it's a tough role, man. Being a rookie quarterback in the Las Vegas Raiders, there's a lot of expectations. And look, I think they're doing their part to improve the roster, which I'm excited about. But TBD on Mendoza.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think that because we know with this organization what it all comes with, but I think with a better head coach and I think in a better direction of where they are, I think it's going to build a lot of confidence up and in the building. So I'm thinking about this because there were a bunch of teams that I watched throughout free agency. I mean, the Titans have really turned things around. Surprisingly, San Francisco, they go and they ink in Mike Evans, which this could be his last big contract. Go and get it, man. But, another team, honestly, that I have concerns about what they're going to look like for next year is the Colts, because they go and they re-sign Daniel Jones, which they believe we traded away first-round picks to get Sauce Gardner because he is our guy at quarterback. We're not here to end up drafting the quarterbacks unless injuries, which is inevitable, or he seems to be declining. But because of the way we watched this team last year, they ran the ball efficiently to start with. They went 7-8-1 to start the year off, and then all of a sudden they went flatline. And I think with Daniel Jones, it makes sense with what Shane Steichen's trying to do, but now it's harder because you got the Texans who are still competitive. The Jags won the division, and now you got the Titans with Robert Saleh, who they are finally remaking their mistakes, letting Mike Vrabel walk to go to a Super Bowl. So what do you kind of see with the Colts here this year?
I love the Colts. I played there my first 3 years. To your point, they started really fast last year. They got a great running back. They got a great tight end. Obviously Sauce was a big pickup for them. They're a pretty well-balanced team, man. I think, signing Daniel Jones, hopefully he comes back healthy. I think they gave the richest 2-year contract in history. So it shows their commitment in the building to him, which obviously instills confidence within the building with the rest of the players. But I think they're going to do well. To your point, it's a tough division. The Titans have struggled, certainly. Hopefully they're on the up and up. But it's a tough division. But I think the Colts are headed in the right direction. I think fans, they got a great fan base. There's a lot of support in that city. They need to start fast and obviously stay healthy. That's the key to anybody's success. But I think they have good pieces in place, man. I really do.
Watching this Super Bowl, last question before letting you go, I loved with what I saw. Many people would speak otherwise because the score wasn't ran up. And I'm like, look, this is not the NBA All-Star game. This is a Super Bowl we're talking about here. To me, I respected the chess play craft from both sides with defensively because it was physical and all they cared about was run the ball, keep possession on our side, and we will strike into the end zone. And then eventually the Seahawks got the last laugh in the middle of it. So I love watching, even with new school technologies and where people are being more pro offense, I love the fact that we still have the old school gridiron physical football. Just run the ball until you can cross over, get the first down, or cross the plane to score. And then defensively, get the sacks, get the stops, shut down the air game. I mean, my biggest thing is, you look at the fullback market, Patrick Ricard reuniting with John Harbaugh, and then the Chargers getting Alec Ingold because they want to run the football. Jim Harbaugh is very classic for this. So when you watch this day and age of football, I feel like we're trending into it where the old school hasn't quite, walked off into the sunset. I think we're going to get better with the way that this product is rolling.
Yeah, man. Obviously, I'm biased. I played fullback for 11 years. I was a quarterback in college, but if you look at the teams that have done well, I would say over the last decade, the San Frans, the Baltimores, the Kansas Cities, these guys run the ball. They got good fullbacks. They control the clock. They set up the play action. Complement with a good defense, and teams have done well with a fullback. I mean, I love Ricard. Obviously, the guy in San Fran is a stud. He's been I think a Pro Bowl, 9-year Pro Bowl, 10-year Pro Bowl. It's a proven model, and my opinion, and you probably heard this, it's a copycat league, right? When I was in Indy, we ran 2 tight ends, and then you start to spread it out, and people want to see touchdowns. But in my opinion, using the fullback, controlling the clock, running the rock, and setting up the play action. Plus, from a strategy standpoint, it's a heavier defense, right? They're loading up the box, and there's more opportunities. And so, the fullback was a dying breed, man, for a while, and it broke my heart. But I'm glad to see fullbacks, being in the mix. I just played golf with Alec Ingold a couple of weeks ago, and and unfortunately, left Miami. But I thought it was a great pickup out of the Chargers. I played with Harbaugh. He was my quarterback my rookie year. He loves fullbacks. Used them in Michigan. Uses them now, and it's a proven success model. And I'm excited about it.
Yeah, it is interesting because I even look at teams that, they're kind of more just quiet because they're more prospecting of a lot of the wild wackiness in the free agency. But I feel we might get a little bit more surprises as the days goes on with free agency. And with a lot of these competitive teams, they want to take the next step to be competitive because we watch these teams get to the Super Bowl and a lot of them that get to the playoffs. So should be interesting. Big shifts. I can't wait for it. Free agency's been fantastic. Chris, appreciate you for coming on by,
Anytime,
man,
brother.
and joining it. Absolutely, man. It's going to be interesting. Let's see what we got in store for free agency in the next couple of days, man. We should see.
Yeah, it should be great. Great to be here, man.
Absolutely, man. Take care. Yeah, it's fun watching free agency.